Hello, Kenzie, can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, doctor.
How is studying going?
Nice.
Nice, good. Okay, I'm going to start. Okay, we'll start a new lesson. This lesson is really easy. It's the easiest lesson in the whole syllabus, which is gas exchange. And it's very, very similar to what we took last year, with a little bit some changes. Okay, I'll ask you a question, Kenzie, that we asked when we were studying the lesson transport system. Remember the circulatory system? Transporting
Yes.
mammals? Why do we need a transport system? And unicellular organisms, they don't need a transport system.
Can you read the question again?
Why do we need a transport system while unicellular organisms do not need a transport system?
To transport the blood? Or...
Talk to me about surface area to volume ratio.
It has a larger surface area.
Who has a larger surface area? They do or we do?
We do.
No, are you sure? Like we have a larger surface area to volume ratio or a smaller surface area to volume ratio? Smaller. Yes, smaller. So let's just point this part out again. Okay. 1 minute. Yeah, let me open. You can see my screen, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So we have two types of organisms. We have
Unicellular, multicellular.
Yes, we have multicellular and we have unicellular. Now, the unicellular organisms, you said they have a larger surface area to volume ratio or a smaller surface area to volume ratio?
Larger?
Yes, larger surface area to volume ratio. This is a single cell, and the whole cell is the whole organism. The distance from the external environment to the center of the cell, this distance is very short. It has a very small volume, even though it has a very large surface area compared to its volume. Okay, so unicellular organisms, they don't need a transport system. They don't need a respiratory system. They can change materials simply by what? What's the word?
Diffusion?
Diffusion. Now, in the case of multicellular organisms, I always use the example of the elephant. In the case of a multicellular organism like this one, like this elephant, it has a very small surface area to volume ratio. In other words, as this elephant is growing, both the surface area and the volume are increasing. But which is increasing much faster, the surface area or the volume?
The surface area?
No, the volume.
No, the volume, the volume.
The volume, yes. Like this elephant has a very big internal volume compared to its surface area. And the distance from the external environment to the center of its body is very long. Diffusion here will be very inefficient. It needs transport systems to exchange materials. It needs a respiratory system to exchange gases, and it needs a circulatory system to exchange oxygen and nutrients and etc. etc. And the respiratory system and the circulatory system, they work together. But a small organism like a unicellular organism, this unicellular organism, the distance is very, very short from the center of the cell to the external environment. It does not need any transport system for the exchange of materials. Diffusion will be just fine. Okay, this can be a question on its own. And the answer is because unicellular organisms have a very large surface area to volume ratio. This has to be written. This is a keyword. And they have a very short diffusion distance. The distance from the center of the organism to the external surface is very short. So this short distance makes diffusion very efficient in the transport and exchange of material. Oxygen diffuses in for respiration, and waste products like carbon dioxide also diffuses out. And if they need water, this is taken in by osmosis, and any food or nutrients are also taken in by diffusion and active transport. They don't need lungs and they don't need a circulatory system like multicellular organisms like this elephant. Get it? So the answer is that multicellular organisms have a small surface area to volume ratio or a large surface area to volume ratio.
Small.
Exactly. They have a small surface area to volume ratio. In other words, to understand it, they have a small surface area compared to their volume. And you continue the sentence by explaining that the distance from the center of their bodies to the external environment is a long distance or a short distance.
Is a long distance.
Very good. Is diffusion here efficient?
No.
No. So they need a circulatory system for the exchange of nutrients, and they need a respiratory system that we will study in this lesson for the exchange of gases. Clear? Okay.
Yes.
So this is the introduction. Now the respiratory system is very easy. You will study it exactly the same anatomy that you took last year. Let me open a whiteboard. We studied the anatomy last year, and the anatomy is exactly the same. Of course, it's not going to change. I'm going to draw the structure and you help me label it. So easy. What am I drawing here?
Trachea.
Yes, and then it continues with a what?
The diaphragm.
No, the trachea is
The
divided
cartilage.
into two what? No, Kenzie, you
Alveolus.
forgot. Huh? The trachea is divided into the bronchi. This is the trachea, the windpipe, okay? And then it divides into two smaller bronchi. Each one enters up a different lung. And then the bronchi divides further into smaller, what do you remember?
No, I
Like the
think it's
branches,
alveolus.
bronchiole, the
Yes.
bronchiole. Okay, it's okay. So we have the trachea, which is the wide windpipe, and then it divides into two bronchi, and then into smaller bronchioles. And these bronchioles, what do they end in? What are these? Air sacs. These are called, it starts with an A. Huh?
Alveolus.
Yes,
Alveoli.
alveoli. Exactly. So you have alveoli here at the end of the bronchi, and then all these are found inside the what? This is very
The
easy. What's
lungs.
this? Exactly, the lungs. Now you mentioned the diaphragm. The diaphragm is at the base of the lungs here. It's a muscle here found at the base of the lungs. Okay.
The
Now when we
C-shaped.
come, exactly. Now when we come to study the anatomy, you will draw it on a piece of paper, and then who joined? Hello, Karim. Okay, and then
Hello,
we
Miss.
will, hello, my dear. And then we will draw here structures that look like these. Can you remind me, Karim, what are these structures that will keep the trachea open so that you can keep on breathing? I'm trying to help you.
I don't remember, but I guess the circle parts.
Yes, that circular part. Kenzie, can you remind him? It starts with the letter C. Car. Come on. It's found at the tip of your nose and
Cartilage.
in, yes, the cartilage, the cartilage. So again, because I like to draw, I'm going to open a new board. Now again, help me, Kareem. Help me label because labeling is very important. This is your what?
Trachea,
Very good. It divides into the two.
bronchi.
bronchi, and then it divides into smaller branches, which are called
برونكس ولا زي كده.
bronchiole. Now, the spelling here is important because spelling makes a big difference. So we have trachea, we have the bronchi, and singular bronchus, and then we have the bronchioles. Please don't get confused. Now, what do we have at the end of those bronchioles? What are these small air bubbles?
alveoli.
Very good, alveoli. Nice. I think nothing is hard about that. Okay?
Yes.
And then we have here the diaphragm, and these are found inside two lungs. Now I'm going to draw structures that extend along the trachea and the bronchi only, not into the bronchioles. What are these structures, Kenzie?
Which one?
These structures that I'm drawing here in the trachea and
The
bronchi.
cartilage.
The cartilage. Very good. Now we studied the anatomy. This is the structure, very easy, and we labeled that. This is all last year material. We will study now the tissues that are found inside the respiratory system. So let's go back to the PowerPoint. Where is it? Here, it's right there. So we studied the anatomy. Now we will go to I just don't want to jump. The trachea, all this is last year material. That's why I'm telling you that this lesson is really easy. You have the trachea that connects from the mouth to the bronchi. It carries the air. The lungs, you have two lungs. I'm sure this is very easy. The bronchi is the branch from the trachea. And the bronchi divides into smaller bronchioles. And then you have at the end the air sacs called the alveoli, and the alveoli are surrounded by many capillaries. Of course, I'm not going to read word by word, but nothing is new here. Now we will study the different tissues found in every structure. Now this is new. What are the different tissues? These tissues are first C is the cartilage. We will know exactly what it does and where is it found. And the S stands for the smooth muscles. This is new material. And the other C is the ciliated epithelium. Okay, and the E are the elastic fibers. So these are the tissues that are found along your respiratory system. We need to know what is the function of each and where exactly are they found. And this is half the lesson. Okay, let's start with the ciliated epithelium. Now let's look at a picture of the ciliated epithelium to understand what is the ciliated epithelium. This is the ciliated epithelium. A very nice and obvious picture. Kareem, can you tell me what you're seeing here on the screen? What is this and what is this? Kareem. Kenzie, can you tell me, can you try to explain what's going on?
Tiny hairs that are beating the surface.
These tiny hairs, where are they found exactly?
In the trachea
No.
or?
Yes, in the trachea. By the way, we did take this also last year in the lesson immunity. If you remember, we studied
Yes.
3 lines of defense in your body. And we said one of the lines of defense are the mechanical lines of defense or the physical, which include your skin and hair in your nose and cilia in your respiratory system. Cilia looks exactly like that. This is your trachea, and it is lined with an epithelial layer, a layer of cells, as you can see. And these layer of cells, they have microscopic what?
Goblet
Microscopic
cell.
what, Kareem? Microscopic cilia. And they have goblet cell one by one. So what does ciliated epithelium mean? So that you understand every word. Epithelium in biology means a layer of cells. Sometimes this epithelium is described as ciliated. In other words, these layer of cells, they have what? The name speaks for itself.
Cilia.
Cilia. Okay. Sometimes this layer of epithelium are flat, they are cuboidal, they don't have cilia all the time, but the cilia is found mainly in the respiratory system, along your trachea and along your bronchi and bronchioles. They're found all along your respiratory system. Now, why, Kareem, are they found? What is their function?
I'm not sure but to trap يعني كراب يعني اللي هو الفورجي
Huh?
بوديز والحاجات دي.
Yes, you are correct. Okay, now the picture here is showing you that the cilia is pushing, what's this gluey material, Kenzie?
The mucus.
Correct. You know all this from before, you just forgot. Now this mucus is produced by which cells?
Goblet cells.
Goblet cells. Now you will find questions in paper 2 that asks you to sketch the ciliated epithelium. If you have a pencil and a paper, okay, I'll highly advise you to sketch it. It's very easy. You will draw a line, or you will start with a line, and then you will draw tall cuboidal cells. And what are these? What are these, Karim?
سيليا.
Cilia. Okay, and in between a few of these ciliated cells, you will draw one cell that is a little bit different and produces mucus. What's the name of this cell, Karim?
جوبلت سيل.
Goblet cell. And you will take all the 4 marks. If you want to label it, that layer is called the basal layer. And this is the ciliated epithelium. And this is the cilia. And this is the goblet cells. And this is the mucus. Now tell me, Kenzie, what is the function of the mucus?
To trap the bacteria.
Very good, exactly. This is the function. It traps dust, bacteria, large microorganisms, particles. Now, when they're trapped, do they stay in the lungs or we push them away?
No, we push away.
Very good. As you can see in the picture here, who is pushing them away?
سيليا.
The cilia.
Cilia.
Very good. Now continue, Karim. They are being pushed away towards the lung or away from the lung?
away from the lung.
Away from the lung. They actually go to the back of your mouth, and you decide when they reach in there. Either you throw it out, you spit it out, or you swallow it. When you swallow this mucus, it goes to the stomach and it is destroyed by the acids in the stomach. Okay?
The hydrochloric acid.
Exactly. So, going again from the very beginning, hello, Yassine, you're very late. We explained that we will study the respiratory system, and as multicellular organisms, we need a respiratory system. Tell them, Kenzie, because we have a high surface area to volume ratio or a small surface area to volume ratio, so we need a respiratory system. Exactly. We are multicellular organisms. We are large organisms, so we have a small surface area to volume ratio. If you're not sure what this means that we have a very large volume compared to our surface area. This means if this is you, if this is human being, okay, the distance from the center of its body to the external environment, this distance is long. It's not a short distance. So we cannot exchange gases and exchange nutrients by diffusion. We need a circulatory system and we need a respiratory system. Okay, Yassine? And next time, start on time. Unicellular organisms like this cell, this unicellular organism, Yassine, it has a large surface area to volume ratio or a small surface area to volume ratio.
It has a large one.
Correct. This surface area is very large compared to its small volume. It has a very small volume. It is just one cell. And the distance from the center of this unicellular organism to the external environment is 0.01 millimeters. Is this a short or a long diffusion distance?
Long.
0.01 millimeters
Short.
is a short or a long? It's a short. Okay, just one cell. It does not need blood vessels and arteries and veins like you. It does not need lungs and alveoli and a respiratory system like you. It can exchange materials simply by wake up with me.
Diffusion.
Diffusion. Yes. And then we moved on to talk about the anatomy, which what we took last year. And then we will study the different tissues found in your respiratory system and what is their function. We started with the ciliated epithelium. The ciliated epithelium, you don't even need to read it. It is so easy to the extent that you don't even need to read any of that. Ciliated epithelium What does the word epithelium mean, Kenzie? Break it down.
Ciliated means a group of cells.
Very good. A group of cells. Ciliated means those cells are what, Yasin? What do you think? They are flat, they're cuboidal, or they have cilia?
They have cilia.
They have cilia. And the ciliated epithelium is mainly found in the respiratory system. It is found in other parts of the body, but it is mainly found in the respiratory system, just like in this picture. The cilia will take the mucus away from the lungs so that we protect the lungs from the bacteria in the mucus. And this mucus will be pushed to the back of your throat. Either you spit it out or you swallow it. If you swallow this mucus, it will go to your stomach. What happens to the mucus in the stomach?
It is denatured.
It is denatured. You can, like, you mean the enzymes in the bacteria will be denatured by the acids?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Now, Yasin and Kareem, because you came a little bit late. You have any questions?
No.
Okay. So the first tissue is the ciliated epithelium. The ciliated epithelium, where is it found? It is found in the trachea. It is found in the bronchi. It is found in the smaller bronchioles. It is found all along the respiratory system, but of course it is more dense in the trachea and it is less dense in the bronchioles. Now, can you guess, ciliated epithelium, is it found in the alveoli? What do you think? Do we have
It's found in
alveoli
the
with
trachea.
ciliated? Excuse me?
It's found in the trachea.
In the trachea, yes. In the bronchi, yes. In the bronchioles, yes. Cilia, do we have alveoli lined with cilia? Did you ever hear or see this before?
No.
No,
No.
it's not. Okay, good. So the first tissue is the ciliated epithelium. The lesson is very easy. This is the easiest lesson in the whole syllabus, but the questions are very tricky. This is its problem. Ciliated epithelium is the first tissue that we will study. This ciliated epithelium is made up of columnar cells with goblet cells in between, and it is ciliated. This is how it looks like, and you should know how to draw it. It's very easy. If you want to label it, this is the basement membrane, and you have the picture in your notes nice and clear. And this is the ciliated epithelial layer, and these are the microscopic cilia. And these are these are the goblet cells. Goblet cells, what do they produce? Wake up with me. We
Mucus.
took this before. It produces mucus. Mucus traps dust and bacteria, and the cilia will sweep it away to the back of your throat. This is information that you already know before. Now, what is new in AS Bio is you have to know how the ciliated epithelium looks like under the microscope, because either you will get a picture on paper 2 and it will ask you what is this picture showing you, what is the histology, or you can get a picture in or a slide in paper 3. Don't forget that there is a question 2, in which you will have to look at a slide under the microscope and you will be asked to identify. Most of the time, 80% of the time, these slides are for plants, but sometimes they're not. Okay, you can have slides related to the rest of the syllabus, like respiratory system. So if you look at a slide like this, how do you identify that this is ciliated epithelium? What in this slide shows you that it's a ciliated epithelium?
Goblet cells.
The goblet cells are very obvious. Okay. Also, the cilia is very obvious. You can see the cilia and you can see the layer of epithelial cells. You should be very familiar with the histological slides. That's why this lesson is full of pictures, because you have to be familiar with the histological slides. This is another slide. I think this is very obvious. If you see something like this under the microscope, by now you should identify that this is ciliated epithelium. The cilia is very obvious. This is what Yasin, this arrow is pointing on which cell? What are the
The
cells in
goblet
between?
cell.
Yes, the goblet cell. This is, of course, using a light microscope of very high magnification. We don't have such a high magnification in the labs. That's why these pictures are very common in paper 2. Okay? And you can be asked, label the cilia, label the goblet cell, label the epithelial layer. Okay? So you will have to label the epithelial layer. Of course, this is magnified. Fine? Now, we're done with the first tissue. Anything hard?
No.
Okay, we started with the anatomy. We have trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, and then ciliated epithelium is found all along the trachea. It is found along the bronchi. It is found along the bronchioles, but it is less dense in the bronchioles. Now, the second tissue are the smooth muscles. Now, these are muscles. What is the function of any muscle?
Contraction.
Yes, very good. These muscles contract and relax like any muscle in your body that will contract and relax. Now, when muscles contract and relax in your respiratory system, what are they controlling? Try to guess.
The passage of air.
The what?
The passage of air.
Very good, exactly. The diameter of the lumen of the trachea and the bronchus and the bronchioles. Remember these smooth muscles that were found in the arteries and the veins?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. We said we have an endothelial layer. It is made up of flat squamous layer, flattened squamous epithelium, not ciliated, just flat, smooth endothelium with little friction so that the blood will flow smoothly. And then it is surrounded by a layer of smooth muscles that is of variable thickness, different in arteries and in veins. And then we have collagen and elastic fibers. And then we said that the smooth muscle will contract and relax to control the diameter of the artery of the vein. We will either dilate or relax. When we dilate, the artery or the vein will become wider to carry more blood. And when it contracts, the artery or the vein will become smaller in diameter to carry less blood. Exactly the same idea. Smooth muscles, they contract and they relax in order to control the diameter of the trachea and the bronchus and the bronchioles to control the amount of air moving in and moving out. Okay, when you come to study, I want to give you a very important advice. And you see words that are in bold, then these words are keywords. They have to be written in an answer. If they ask you for the function of the smooth muscles, you will get a mark when you say that these muscles contract and they dilate and they control the diameter of the trachea or the bronchi, or that's where the 3 marks go. Clear? So this is another what? Tissue. Anything hard about it? Any
No.
questions? Okay. Now I want to ask you another question. Smooth muscles are voluntary or involuntary muscles?
Involuntary muscles.
Yes, they are involuntary muscles. We cannot control them. You will not study any muscles in AS. Muscles, we study them only in A2, okay? So smooth muscles, only you need to know for now, in case you're asked in paper 1 that they are involuntary muscles, you cannot control them. They're not like the skeletal muscles. Something else, you have to know how do they look like under the microscope. This is how they look like under the microscope. They are spindle-shaped cells like this. Spindle-shaped cells, and they're called smooth because they look smooth under the microscope. They don't have any striations like the skeletal muscles. So this is how a smooth muscle looks like under the microscope. You have to be familiar with how it looks like. If you want more pictures, again, I'll give you another advice. While you're studying and you want more histological pictures, you can go to Google and write smooth muscle histology. Right next to it, histology. It will get you all the pictures that can possibly appear for a smooth muscle, skeletal muscle, plant stem, plant root, whatever. Okay? Again, another picture of the smooth muscle. I'll show you so many pictures and you'll find lots of pictures because you have to be familiar. You have to look at the slide and know exactly what is it. Once you see cells that are spindle in shape with a central nucleus, this is what a smooth muscle. Okay. Now not the last, but one of the tissues is cartilage. Now, what do you know about cartilage? What is it? What does it do?
It has a
Uh,
C-shaped rings.
Yeah. C-shaped rings. Tell me, Yassine, where is the cartilage found along your respiratory system?
between bones, the
Okay.
trachea and the respiratory system.
Yes, exactly. Where in the trachea? Where in the respiratory system? We said the cartilage is in the trachea and in the what? What is this branch? In the
Cartilage.
Bronchiole.
in the bronchi. Don't get
Bronchi.
confused. The bronchiole is the smallest branch, and bronchioles have no cartilage. I'll give you a very important advice when you come to study this lesson, because this lesson, I told you, it's easy, but the questions are very tricky. When I come to study the anatomy, I'm going to draw my trachea, and I'm going to draw two divisions, and then smaller divisions, which are my bronchioles. And then I'm going to draw my alveoli. Let's say I'm going to draw one side and my lung, and then I will label it. I'm going to say this is my trachea, and you always don't label the bronchi and the bronchioles correctly. The bronchi, which is plural, bronchus, simple, this is the first division. So this is my trachea and this is my bronchi. The smaller divisions, like the branches of the tree, are the what, Kenzie? The bronchiole. So they are different structures. Don't get confused. And then the final air sacs are called what? Alveoli. Okay, very good. And then I'm going to change color and I'm going to draw the cartilage. When I come to draw the cartilage, I'm going to draw them in the trachea and in the bronchi, and I will stop because there is no cartilage in the bronchioles. You will see so many questions trying to confuse you. Cartilage is only found in the trachea and in the bronchi. No cartilage in the bronchioles. That's why the bronchioles, they can easily collapse. When you have any disease, we will study chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases and lung cancer, God forbid. Always the bronchi are very, very narrow, and the bronchioles, they're very narrow, and they can easily collapse. And when they do collapse, they obstruct the airways, and this affects breathing, causing emphysema, and affects ventilation. Okay? So cartilage. Cartilage is found only in two locations in the respiratory system. In the one, trachea, two, bronchi. How do I remember? And I never forget, while I am drawing, I'm going to draw the C-shaped rings in the trachea and continue down in the bronchi and never draw any C-shaped rings in the bronchiole. The bronchiole, no cartilage. Okay? Is this hard?
No.
No, good. Now, something else about the cartilage in the trachea and the bronchi. How do we know the difference between the trachea and the bronchi under a microscope? I will show you pictures so that I don't waste time. This is a trachea. Now, how did I quickly know that this is a trachea? Number one, this is the esophagus. Esophagus. What's the esophagus? Remind me. Come on. What is the esophagus? This is your neck.
Tube.
Huh?
The tube that allow the air to pass.
Esophagus or the trachea?
No, the esophagus بتاع الفود.
Exactly, correct. This is your neck, okay? But of course, your neck is not that big. And this is your face. So this is you, okay? As if you are facing this side. You have two tubes in your neck. You have the first tube and you have another tube behind it. The first tube is your trachea, the windpipe. And the tube behind the trachea is the esophagus. Like Karim said, trachea is for the air, it's the windpipe, and the esophagus is for the food. Your esophagus does not have cartilage. See, it has a very strong muscular wall because the food moves down the esophagus by peristalsis. Remember peristalsis? Or you forgot everything? Well, leave the esophagus now. Our esophagus is not the problem. We will talk about the trachea. This trachea has an incomplete C-shaped ring. See that? How did I know that this is the trachea? Because the cartilage is very obvious. This is the cartilage. And it has a fixed shape and it is open the whole time for the air. Let me show you another picture. This is also the what's this? You're not still familiar with microscopic slides, but what is this? Can you guess? You can see here, hello? Did I lose you? Are you
No.
with me? Okay, can't you see here an incomplete C-shaped ring?
So it's cartilage?
Yes, this is cartilage. And where is cartilage found in your respiratory system? What is this? This is so easy.
It's
When you
found
have
in the trachea and the bronchi.
yes, this is the trachea,
Trachea.
the trachea. And what is the tube behind the trachea for the food? What is it? This is the what? Esophagus. Don't worry, you'll be very familiar with the slides. Just seeing them more than once will make it very familiar. And by the way, this is either a vein or an artery. Okay, these are blood vessels here. Fine. Most probably this is a vein and this is an artery. Why am I saying that? Which one has a wider lumen? A or B?
A.
A. So the vessel with a wider lumen is a vein or an artery? You are just studying the lesson because you have an exam. Which has a wider lumen, the vein or the artery? Which carries blood at low pressure?
The vein have a wider lumen.
Yes, that's why I said A is the vein. Okay. Again, this is another picture. The lesson is half of it pictures. This is obviously, very, very obviously, this is the trachea because you can clearly see the incomplete C-shaped ring, which is the cartilage. Here, see? It does not continue till the end. It's an incomplete, this is how it is described. It is an incomplete C-shaped ring found in the trachea and the bronchi. Now, give me the functions of the cartilage. Why is the cartilage very important?
First, it acts as a lubricant and prevents friction.
The cartilage?
Cartilage.
No, this is not right. Because the cartilage is not in direct contact with the air. What is in direct contact with the air is the ciliated epithelium. So how come the cartilage acts as a lubricant? You got confused. Cartilage acts as or it is smooth and it reduces friction at the joints. You took the skeletal system in human biology and you studied the joints in human biology. At the joints, you have cartilage between the joints, yes? And this cartilage
Yes.
is smooth and it reduces the friction. No, we're not talking about the joints. Please don't get confused. Yes, you have cartilage at the joints, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about the cartilage found in your respiratory system, in your trachea. It's got nothing to do with lubrication here because it is not in direct contact. What is in direct contact with the air is the epithelial layer. It is behind the smooth muscles. You have the ciliated epithelium, and then you have a layer of smooth muscles to contract and dilate and control the diameter. And then we have cartilage. Can you imagine your trachea without cartilage? What will happen? The cartilage will keep it always what? Kareem, can you think of an answer? Your throat, your trachea, your windpipe. What makes it always open?
There is a muscle which blocks when the food comes. Don't remember what's its name.
Kareem, we're not talking about the esophagus, we're talking about the trachea.
Yes,
Okay, you have two tubes, one for the air and one for the esophagus. The food enters in the esophagus. Leave the food alone. I'm talking about your windpipe, your trachea. Your trachea contains C-shaped cartilage rings. I am asking you a particular question. What is the importance of the C-shaped cartilage rings? It keeps the trachea always, Kenzie. Someone tell me
Open.
the answer. Yes, it keeps the trachea always open. Your trachea has to remain always open so that you can breathe. Okay? It provides support. It prevents your trachea from collapsing due to changes in air pressure. It provides some flexibility. It allows your trachea to flex or to move a little bit. The most important function of the cartilage is that it keeps the trachea open, open, open. It's got nothing to do with lubrication or friction. This is its function at the joints. We're not talking about the cartilage at the joints. We're talking about the cartilage in your trachea. It has to keep it always open so you can breathe. Anything hard about that? We took it last year, by the way. Any questions? Boys? Okay. Now again, this is another histological picture. You have to know the layers. First, you have the ciliated epithelium layer. This is the internal of the trachea. This is the trachea from the inside. We start with the ciliated epithelium. Of course, this is ciliated, but we will see the cilia if we zoom in. And then we have a layer of smooth muscles and some blood vessels here. And then we have the cartilage. You have to be very familiar with how the cartilage looks like under the microscope. In biology, it is described as having a glassy appearance. These are the chondrocytes. These are cells that produce cartilage. They're called chondrocytes. And cartilage does not contain any blood vessels or any nerves. Again, this is another picture of the cartilage. Do you see any nerves or blood vessels in this tissue? Yes or no? Can someone give me an answer? Are you with me? Hello? I still have the four of you. Are you with me?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so I don't think we're taking anything hard up to now. Again, we're just looking at pictures of the cartilage tissue. Again, this is a very, very obvious picture showing you the incomplete C-shaped ring, which is the cartilage. And this shows you that this is the trachea, the cartilage here. And then it is in front of the what is this tube? The esophagus. This is for the food, and this is for the air. You can get a specimen like this in paper 3. So that is why you have to be very familiar. It's very easy. It's very easy. These C-shaped rings makes it very easy to identify. Here, and this is zooming in of the cartilage tissue. It has a glassy appearance. It has no blood vessels and no nerves. The blood vessels and the nerves are in the upper and the lower layers, in case you are asking, how do we feel it then? Okay, so again, we took some things that are very easy, the trachea, and then it is divided into the two, what, Yasin? Trachea divided into what? Wake up with me. God, what's wrong with you? Can someone give me an answer? Yasin?
Miss, I
Hello?
got a call. Can you say the question again?
I am asking to help me label. We have the trachea that divides into the two what?
Bronchi.
It divides into the two bronchi, and then these two bronchi, Kenzie, divide into smaller
Bronchioles.
bronchioles. I don't think we said anything hard up to now. And then at the end of the bronchioles, I have the air sacs. What are they called?
The alveoli.
The alveoli. Anything hard?
No.
No.
Now I want to draw the C-shaped rings. I will draw them in which structures exactly. They are found only in two of the structures that we just drew.
The
Where are
trachea
they?
and the bronchiole. The trachea.
The trachea and the bronchi. That's it. Now, there is a small difference between the cartilage in the trachea and the bronchi. In the trachea, the cartilage, they form incomplete C-shaped rings. In the bronchi, they form separate plates. They look like this. Let me show you pictures again. These are the alveoli. Okay, this is a picture showing you, I don't want the answer. The photomicrograph shows a cross-section through a bronchus, okay? What is the function of the tissues X and Y? That's why I'm telling you and I'm showing you lots of pictures. You have to know how to identify those specimens. What is X? The first layer. This is which tissue? I'll give you options. The ciliated epithelium or the smooth muscle or the cartilage. Look at these. X is which layer? Kenzie.
Ciliated epithelium.
Okay, why don't you give me the answer? X is the ciliated epithelium. It's very obvious here. You have microscopic hairs that are protruding. Good. Now, what is Y? Y is which layer? Those spindle-shaped cells with a central nucleus.
The smooth muscle.
Correct. Smooth muscles. Good. And this layer, those cells, the chondrocytes that have a glassy appearance. Which tissue is that? The
Cartilage.
the cartilage. How many pictures of cartilage did I just show you? Okay, now what is the function of the tissues X and Y? X, we agree that this is the ciliated epithelium. It secretes mucus, it supports the airway, it traps dust and dirt. It will waft dust and dirt upwards. First, which one can be wrong? X.
It doesn't secrete mucus.
Why? It doesn't have goblet cells. The ciliated epitheliums, they have goblet cell.
Nice.
Support the airway.
Yes, support the airway is wrong. So B, I'm going to remove B. Sometimes it's easier to exclude answers, to answer by exclusion. Now, X can excrete mucus, yes. It can trap dirt, dust and dirt, yes. It can waft the dust and the dirt upwards, yes. Now let's go to Y. We said that Y is the smooth muscle. So, which
It
one
can't
is
be
the
seen.
function? It cannot be C. It does not secrete mucus, yes. So I'm going to remove C. This is the easiest way to answer questions. Does it prevent collapse of the airway or constrict the airway? Which one is the function of the smooth muscle?
Prevent collapse.
Smooth muscles, they
No,
contract and they dilate. They
they
constrict and
constrict
they
airway.
dilate. Yes, the answer is D. Do you all know why? Because it does not prevent collapse of the airway. If we are going to describe a tissue that will prevent collapse of the airway, this will be cartilage. Cartilage, it prevents the trachea to close. It prevents it from collapsing. It gives the trachea support. It gives trachea its shape. If you notice all these specimens, the trachea is wide open and it has a fixed shape. Clear? So the answer is D. Now, I wanted to show you, what did I want to show you now? I forgot. I wanted to show you a picture of something. Yeah, these are again histological pictures. This is very obvious that this is the what? Ciliated epithelium. This is how it looks like under an electron microscope. Now, I have a question for you. Why is this specimen an electron microscope specimen? Why is it an electron micrograph, not a light microscope, not a light photomicrograph? I'll kill you if you don't give me an answer.
What's the question?
Why is this picture taken using an electron microscope, not a light microscope?
It has black and white.
No, give me, what are these black and white? Give
Too
me a
small.
definite answer.
Too small to be seen with a light microscope.
Okay, now if it's too small to be seen, we are using an electron microscope. Now, why are you sure that this is a picture from an electron microscope, not a light microscope? What do you see here that you can never see with a light microscope? Come on. Excuse me? You'll kill me today, I swear to God. What is this?
This is
Mitochondria.
mitochondria.
Yes, mitochondria. Can we ever see a mitochondria with a light microscope?
No.
No.
No. So there is only one answer because you can see details here that you cannot see with a light microscope. This is obviously a mitochondria. It's very obvious. The crista, the foldings inside it are very obvious. And these can be ribosomes. We can never see these things with a light microscope. What's wrong with you today? Okay, this is which tissue? I'll give you options. Ciliated epithelium or smooth muscle or cartilage? Can you see all these? Tell me which tissue and which microscope, light or electron?
This is an electron microscope.
Of course, this is an electron microscope. Light microscope, you nearly cannot see anything except the outline of the cell. I can see the structures inside the cell. I can see that I have here, it's either a nucleus or, yes, this is a large nucleus. And the cilia are very obvious. Now, this is which tissue, smooth muscle or ciliated epithelium or cartilage? It's very easy, very obvious. Kenzie, can you give me an answer? This is which tissue? Hello? You're all with me. So can someone tell me this is which tissue? Yassine, can you tell me?
Is it the smooth muscle?
No, it is not the smooth muscle. The smooth muscle is smooth. Is this smooth? This is the ciliated epithelium. Can't you see the cilia? It's very obvious. Can't you see the goblet cell? Okay, maybe I'm going to say that maybe you're not very familiar. This also is another histological picture of what? This is so obvious. What are these?
Cilia.
Cilia. And this is the epithelial layer. These are the microscopic cilia. This is one of the goblet cells. Okay, the goblet cells, very easy. Again, another picture so that your eyes get used to it. Ciliated epithelium. The moment you see small hairs, it's a ciliated epithelium without any negotiations. And the goblet cell is very obvious. Now, the goblet cell produces lots of mucus. Mucus is protein. That is why the goblet cell contains so many organelles, a large endoplasmic reticulum and Golgi body, etc., etc. Okay, these are just a layer of cells on top of each other, the squamous epithelium. This is what these cells that are spindle in shape and they're empty with a central nucleus. This is the?
Smooth muscle.
Yes. These are capillaries. I wanted to show you a picture of the trachea and the bronchi. Compare them and then I'll let you go today because I don't know what's wrong with you. This is the trachea because the easiest way to identify a trachea is that it has a incomplete C-shaped ring. Now, the difference between the trachea and the bronchi, they also have cartilage, but the cartilage is not a complete ring like this. The cartilage rings in the bronchi are separated. They look like that. This is the trachea. This is a bronchi. Look at the cartilage in the bronchi. The cartilage is not a complete C-shaped ring. The cartilage are in sections. And these sections are called loops or hoops. Okay? The bronchi, under the microscope, it has a very, very easy identification criteria. It looks like a flower. So if you look under the microscope and you see something that looks like this, it's a flower, it's a bronchi, and the cartilage is here. This is the cartilage. And the cartilage, as you can see, they're broken pieces. They're not continuous like in a trachea. The trachea looks like this. I want you to familiarize the differences. This is a bronchi, and this is a trachea. The trachea has a continuous, smooth cartilage ring that is much thicker, and it is very obvious that it is an incomplete C-shaped ring. It starts here and it ends here. So this is a very easy specimen. This is a trachea. If we zoom in, we will see the ciliated epithelium. Below it, we have smooth muscles. Okay? This is bronchi. How did I know? For two things. Two things identified this bronchi. It is very obvious. It looks like a flower, and the cartilage here is not continuous. The cartilage here is separated, and these separations are called cartilage plates or cartilage hoops. Anything hard about that? Any questions? Okay. Hello?
Okay.
Fine. Now this question here is trying to find out whether you know which type of ring is found in cartilage, is found in trachea and bronchi. Now, question number 33. A student was asked to describe the differences between 4 microscopic slides of sections taken from different parts of the gas exchange system. Slide 1, what is not present is cartilage and glands. What is present, a few goblet cells, ciliated epithelial cells, and smooth muscle. Now, this question is very tough. Slide 2, why did I mark this incomplete cartilage rings? The moment you see the term incomplete cartilage rings, and then you see in slide 4 plates of cartilage, separate pieces of cartilage. What is slide 4? Trachea or bronchi?
Bronchi.
Yes. Plates of cartilage, separate pieces of cartilage, are bronchi. It can never be a bronchiole because bronchioles have no cartilage anyway. Slide 2 has incomplete cartilage rings. Glands, goblet cells, ciliated epithelium, everything else. The incomplete cartilage rings is found in the trachea or found in the bronchi? Incomplete, C-shaped.
Trachea.
Yes, trachea. That is why the answer, if you go to slide 2, the answer is C. This is how we will identify it. Bronchioles, they have no cartilage and no goblet cells. So what's the answer? The answer is C. Okay, I'm not going to teach you anything more today because today you are sleeping. I don't know what's wrong with you. We will just revise quickly what we took. We studied the anatomy of the respiratory system. When you come to study it, you will draw your trachea with C-shaped rings. You will draw your bronchi with C-shaped rings also, but the rings here are complete C-shaped rings. Here they are in the form of separate plates or hoops. These are the bronchi. And then they divide into smaller branches called the what? Called the what?
The bronchioles.
The bronchioles. Do I draw any cartilage in the bronchiole?
No.
No, I don't draw any cartilage. And then I'll draw the alveoli. This is nearly half the lesson. And then you need to know what are the tissues present. We have 4 tissues that we will study in the respiratory system. We have the ciliated epithelium. We have the smooth muscle. We have the cartilage. And we have the elastic fibers that we did not mention today. In order to make studying very easy, you will tell yourself that all these 4 tissues are found in the biggest structures, in the trachea and the bronchi. Starting from the bronchioles, things change. Bronchiole is very, very narrow, and it has no cartilage and no goblet cells. Can you guess why it has no goblet cells? We said that the bronchiole are very narrow. If the goblet cells produce mucus, what will happen to the bronchiole?
It will be blocked.
Exactly. Okay, they have no cartilage. That is why they easily collapse. And they have no goblet cells because the mucus will block the bronchiole. They do have ciliated epithelium, but the cilia is less dense. Now, the alveoli does not have ciliated epithelium at all, or cartilage, of course. We still did not study the alveoli. The alveoli are simply a ball of air that is surrounded by many capillaries and elastic fibers. Let's leave the alveoli for next time. Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
No.
That's half the lesson. The other half are the chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, and that's it. It's a very easy lesson. Okay. Do you have any questions for your term exam?
No.
If you have any questions, send me. Kenzie, you have any questions?
No, doctor, thank you.
Okay. I'll repeat all this because, no, I will not. I told you not. You should have attempted. Fine. This is not our problem now. If you have any questions over the term exam, send me. Okay?
Okay.
Bye.